Close your eyes and picture towering mountains, stunning glaciers, braided rivers, a literal dream come true. Am I right? That is Þórsmörk, my friend. And if you're thinking about traveling to this beautiful place in Iceland, then I'm here today to talk all about how to plan your trip. Hey Team Iceland, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jeannie and I am your Iceland virtual tour guide. Today I am so excited to share part 1 of my 3-part Highlands series. We're going to be talking over the next few weeks about how to plan a trip into the Highlands of Iceland, aka some of the most untouched, untraveled places in the country. First up is Thorsmork and all of the beautiful things about it. So let's get into it. So Thorsmork in Icelandic translates to the Valley of Thor. Thorsmork is nestled between 3 major glaciers and is home to some of the most beautiful, pure, and raw nature that the country has to offer. I've traveled to Thorsmork several times, and I have to say, it's one of the most breathtaking places in the country. But it's a little complicated to get to, so today I wanted to share how to get there, where to stay, and all of the things that you'll need to know. First, let's talk about how to get to Thorsmork. There's a few different things that you can do. Number 1, you can drive yourself. So, in order to get into Thorsmork, you are going to need a 4-wheel drive vehicle because, like we talked about last week, you will need to be traveling on the F-roads in Iceland. These are the roads that are crazy bumpy, unpaved, difficult to drive, river crossings, and all of the things that you'll need to get into Thorsmork. You'll need a special vehicle that has 4-wheel drive capabilities. Next, you can hike in. So there is a trek called Fimmvörðuháls, which we will be talking about in a future video, which runs from Skógar and ends in Thorsmork. So you can literally start hiking it from Skogafoss and then hike all the way back and around until you get into Thorsmork. This will take you an entire day of hiking. The weather is crazy. It's not for the faint of heart. It takes on average 8 to 12 hours. You're hiking through some crazy terrain, but if this is the trek that you're interested in taking, then you just land in Thorsmork. Done. Or you can hike the Laugavegurinn Trail, which is even more intense and not for this video as well, but either way, you end in Thorsmork. Lastly is that you can hire a vehicle to take you in there. There's a couple different ways you can do this. Number 1 is you would hire a private transport or some kind of excursion that would specifically be to take you into Thorsmork. This could be, for example, Midgard Adventure. They take tours into Thorsmork, or any of the other companies that would do those day tours. Another way is that you can hop on a bus that takes you into Thorsmork. So for those people that don't have a 4-wheel drive vehicle but want to get into Thorsmork, it's possible. There are 3 major bus companies that give rides into Thorsmork: Reykjavik Excursions, Treks, and Sterna. So these buses, like I said, are specially formulated with big tires so they can do the river crossings no problem. So what they do is they pick you up, they drop you into Thorsmork, and then they can bring you back out. So there are certain timetables that you do have to pay attention to depending on the company that you're using, so of course check their website. You can pay in advance for that ticket, or you can pay directly on the bus. I recommend sorting everything out before you even embark on this bus ride. All right, next let's talk about what you do when you get in Thorsmork. So the biggest thing is that Thorsmork is a hiker's paradise. Like I said, there's mountains and beautiful trails everywhere with the most breathtaking scenery. So there are certain hiking routes and loops that are already marked when you get there. The most common one is Valanukur. That is simply a down and out hike up a peak that heads out of volcano huts, but also you can do one of the legs of Fimmvörðuháls, or you can do the Tindfjall circle as well. Lots of different opportunities. It just depends on how much time you have. But what I would recommend if you're looking for hiking in Thorsmork is to check with one of the base camps that's located in Þórsmörk, which usually you get dropped off at anyway, and they can show you the routes and then how long it takes and the difficulty and everything like that. Also, you could camp in Thorsmork. So if you just want to go into Thorsmork and then just, enjoy the beautiful scenery around you, then you can bring your tent with you and set up shop and just camp. There are also accommodations that have places to sleep or mountain huts as well, which we'll get to in a minute. So if you don't have a tent, then you can arrange accommodation that way as well. What you can also do is take an excursion into Thorsmork. So before I had mentioned Midgard Adventure, which is an amazing tour company that bases out of Kvolsvöllur, which is literally just 10 minutes away from the entrance to Thorsmork. So they are in the perfect location to get you into this beautiful area. They have a Thorsmork specific tour, which lasts for 6 to 8 hours. So you have a guide taking you to some of the most beautiful and scenic locations in Thorsmork. I have done this tour myself and I highly recommend it. We will be talking about this in a future video, but I absolutely loved our tour and I think this would be a great way for you to experience Thorsmork without having to deal with how to get a ride or how to drive yourself or cross the rivers or any of that kind of stuff. Next is where to stay. So if you are wanting to make this an overnight or a multiple night experience and do hiking or camping in between, then there are a couple of possibilities. Now, the first thing is that there are several base camps set up in Thorsmork. So the most common is Básar. They have the possibility to do tent camping, RV camping, and bunk accommodation as well. Another one is called Langadalur, and they have a lot of areas for tent camping. They also have a big kitchen area, so it's really nice if you want to cook inside as well. Lastly, you have Volcano Huts, which is the Húsadalur base camp. I have personally stayed at Volcano Huts, loved our time there. It was so amazing. They have tent accommodation, they have a dorm style bunk bed accommodation, and then they also have private huts. So they're really, really accommodating. They are also the only base camp that has a restaurant on site. So this is also really helpful if you're not wanting to do a lot of your own cooking or bringing in a lot of your own food. They also have an outdoor sauna and hot spring, which is really nice to relax in at the end of a long hiking day. So I loved our time at Volcano Huts. The only thing with that is it is more challenging to get across the river because you do have to go across Krossau, which is the big, deep, scary river that you can't take unless you have a specially modified vehicle. With that being said, you just have to arrange certain transportation with Volcano Huts to get across, which is just a small extra step, but it's so beautiful out there and such good hiking around. We loved it. Let's talk about what to bring into Thorsmork. Since this is a specialized area of Iceland, you won't have all of the conveniences around, so you want to make sure to bring the right stuff. First up, you want to absolutely have waterproof outerwear from head to toe. So because it's located towards the glaciers in between the mountains, then you're having some more picky weather systems that can happen, so rain is definitely more of a possibility. You don't want to get wet and then not want to go for a nice adventure hike. Obviously having more layers as well, because when you're away from the coast, then the temperatures get a bit cooler inland, so making sure that you have warmer layers so you can throw on if you're getting cold. Of course, hiking boots are essential. You're gonna probably be wanting to walk around quite a bit, and these hiking trails are so beautiful, so having the proper footwear is really important. Like I said, unless you're staying at the Volcano Huts, which is where they provide food, then you're gonna wanna bring your own food. Whether it's, sandwiches or snacks, depending on how long you're staying, make sure that you have food with you. I recommend bringing a reusable water bottle because there's tons and tons of fresh glacier streams, so you can just fill up water right there at the source. Make sure to bring extra batteries, whether it's for your camera or a battery pack for your phone, to make sure that everything stays charged. Unless you're at the base camp, then if you're doing a bunch of hiking, you want to make sure that your electronics are charged. And then lastly, a first aid kit. Hopefully you don't need to use it, but just in case, again, you're in the wilderness, you're far away from any hospitals or clinics, so just wanted to make sure that you're safe. Lastly, my friends, are my pro tips for Thorsmork. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you check out my video that I have made about the F-roads. So this video goes through, if you want to drive in yourself, how to tackle the F-roads, what to expect, the vehicle that you need, and all of that. Another thing to know is that access to Þórsmörk is generally closed off during the winter. For sure closed off to passenger travel, meaning that me and you can't drive ourselves into Þórsmörk, whether it's any time of the year other than mid-June until end of August. But some of the tour companies will take you into Thorsmork during the winter. So it doesn't mean that it's completely closed off, it just means that you and I can't drive there. But if you're still wanting to access Thorsmork, then I would highly recommend for sure checking with Midgard Adventure, because like I said, we did our tour there in the winter and it was so beautiful. So repeating what I just said in the what to bring section, make sure to bring your gear with you that you're gonna need, including food, because there's no stores. You can't just stop and pick something up if you want it. All right, last, my friends, is to leave your travel plan with safetravel.is. So it's really important when you're possibly not getting the best cell phone service or you're hiking in these long trails, then you want to make sure that safetravel.is has your itinerary so that they know just in case something happens, then your route and your location is marked down. And don't forget to check out my website, icelandwithaview.com. You guys, I have a free resource library that has tips like this, guidebooks, checklists, and so much helpful information for free. All you have to do is sign up under freebies at icelandwithaview.com. Okay, dear friends, that is your Þórsmörk information. I hope you guys absolutely loved this video and found it helpful on how to plan your trip to Þórsmörk. I'll see you guys next week for another Iceland video, but until then, happy planning.